Welcome back. In this demonstration, we're going to show you how to finish the second bar of your Mobile project. In the last video, we talked about the size of string needed. We said get one big long string from one of the string dispensers, depending on what color you chose or what color I told you to choose in class, based on the colors you have in your Mobile. And then we said you're going to need to have two 9-inch strings for here, a 6-inch string for this middle piece, and an 18-inch string for this side piece, and one more 9-inch piece going on up there. So we had a nice big long piece of string, and I've already cut mine into two pieces. Okay, so to get started, what you're going to need is you're going to need your final or your first bar here. All right, I'm going to take this one and put it aside for the moment, and I'll bring it back later so we can remember what sizes we need. And we'll talk about balance. Okay, the whole point of a Mobile is that it's balanced, and we've talked a lot about symmetrical balance and asymmetrical balance in the past. Whenever we've made like a collage or some other kind of picture, we've talked about those kind of balances. Okay, in our Mobile, we're going to talk about balance based on where things are in the middle. So here is symmetrical balance. The fulcrum, or where this string is in the center, will give us symmetrical balance. And if I hold that piece up, you can see that that piece would be balanced because this bar here is horizontal. Okay, and then those two pieces hang equal. Okay, asymmetrical balance, we're going to say we want this bar to hang so that it's horizontal, but one side is going to be much heavier than the other side, so we're going to have to put that string on an asymmetrical place. We're going to have to put it closer towards the heavier side, and that point wherever that string is coming out is called the fulcrum. Where are we going to have the fulcrum? So let's say that together. That's a new word about balance. Okay, so today as we get started, you're going to need to have a couple things. You're of course going to need to have your string. So here's my string. You're going to need to have your pre-made first bar from our last session. You're going to need to have your yarn needle to do some of the tying on. All right. First, we're going to take this string, and you're going to need to tie that onto the hole here from our last couple sessions. All right. So I'm just going to take that, reminding you how to tie it on. You take the shorter end, you loop it over the top of the previous string that's coming around, and then you go underneath and up through the hole. So I open that hole, I go up, underneath, like that. Okay, and tie it just like you would tie the beginning knot for your shoe. And then you do that twice. Once over the top, underneath, back up through the hole. Okay, like that. So that one's tied on now. Next, we're going to tie the second one on over here. Okay, and this is the one that's going to go on the other side of that top bar. To get that, I'm going to use my longer piece of string. This is the 18-inch piece of string, and I'm going to feed it through the needle. Okay, just like we practiced before, there's the hole, the eye of the needle. I'm just going to feed that right through. Remember, we said if you need to, you can put a little glue on there to get it a little pointier. And then I'm going to put that, find the kind of balance point within my origami model, which for this one is just straight up through the center. You take your needle, push it straight up through your origami model, and pull it out the other side. Okay, and before we go too far, you're going to just put a couple knots into the bottom here. Loop it around your finger, around the top, underneath, and up through the hole to make a knot. I'm going to do 2 knots there, around again, and up through the hole, and tie that so that those 2 knots are right next to each other. Okay, then I'm going to pull very gently, so I do not pull that knot through, but I just have it secured kind of right at the end. Okay, then I'm going to put this through the hole and tie it on through the hole. Okay, and one thing that we want to make sure is that we have these kind of all the same length. So I'll try to put that bar up there and pull these pieces down, so we kind of have a sense of how long those cranes are going to be. And then I want this one to hang just about the same. So I'm going to pull it a little bit more and make sure that it's about the same, so that these 3 cranes are about in the same place. Okay, if you want to, you could have it a little higher, a little lower, it doesn't matter. But I like to have them all kind of the same height. All right, and then I'm going to just tie that knot like we did the first one. Once, and twice to make that knot. Then we need to make this bar symmetrical. Using asymmetry, we need to figure it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use that little hook that I talked about in the last assignment, the little crochet hook here. Okay, and you should have one of those sitting at your table. And I'm actually going to hold this bar up and try to figure out where that point of symmetry is. So if I turn the camera here so that you can kind of see me hold it up, you can see how this bar here, this top bar, is horizontal. We want it to be horizontal. Okay, the bottom bar there is also horizontal. Okay, and you can see that that's pretty horizontal. And this one's horizontal as well. Notice where my pin is. It's not in the center. The center is about here. If I put this in the center, watch what happens. It just falls right over. So you are going to have to take some time to find the balance point. Whoops, too far over. Find that balance point. Oh, there it is. To where that bar is going to be level. Once you find that, you're going to take your needle here, or your tool, and you're going to rotate it and rock it back and forth and stick it right up through that bar. So there you can see that needle. And then push it up, and let's see. Oh yeah, and it should then hold that in. Okay. Once you find that balance point, it has to be in the right place or it won't be balanced. Once you find that balance point, then you take your little string, loop it around the bottom of that, and pull that up through. And you might have to rock this back and forth. Okay? Like that. Notice I had to pull kind of hard. Then before you pull it all the way through, remember we talked about taking a little scrap of paper and gluing it around that piece of string. So you're going to take your little scrap of paper, doesn't matter, just any old scrap. You're going to take a little bit of glue and you're going to put the glue around that piece of paper. So here's me gluing that piece of paper. Going to get a nice amount of glue on there. Then I'm going to wrap it around that string so that that string does not go through the hole. And I'm just going to trim this up so it looks nice. Okay, I'm just going to use my scissors and trim that so that it looks nice and it doesn't pull through. Now if I pull that string up, and here's the inside. Remember we wrote our name on the inside. If you don't have your name on there, you need to write that. And then that string being in there, glued together, I should be able to hold this up. Now in the last video it fell down because I didn't give it enough time to dry. Of course now it's nicely dried in there. If we look at this one, you'll see it's nicely dried in there and I kind of glued it into the side. So I'm going to actually glue this one in and put a little glue right in there. That'll help it long term. Okay, see that glue just right inside the bar, and then I'm going to glue that piece of paper to it because we don't want to glue the bar together, we just want to glue that little piece in. And now let's see if I can hold it up. I'll put up my camera and hold up my bar here, and there it is. Should hang nicely, and both of the bars should be horizontal. Okay, we want those to be horizontal. So putting my bar back down, I'm going to draw a little bit on here for us to kind of remind us what our bars should look like. Okay, so going back to my original picture that I created, and that's a little, let's see if I can pull it out a little bit so we can just try to see the whole thing. There we go, a little better. Here's my original picture of our string. We need to have an 18-inch piece here, a 9-inch piece here, a 9-inch piece here, a 6-inch piece here, and I guess you can't see the top there, and a 6-inch piece up at the top. Okay, we have symmetry there, and we have asymmetry here because it's not in the middle. So I'm going to write a symmetry asymmetry, and right here we'll write symmetry. Okay, so that is how it should look when you're done. I'll just push those up a little bit so we can see them all. And that's what your final mobile should look like. This string being coming off the center, this string over to the heavier side of the mobile. And that completes our origami mobile construction.